The big name that was bandied about, in fact, I first saw this on the overnight leading into the day, Kevin Durant. He was the star in the center square on the Hollywood Stars there. Center square, and the chatter leading into the draft was about Durant. There were breathless reports saying that Phoenix was shopping Durant. The Rockets were interested. Our former morning guy, Stephen A. Smith, I don't know whatever happened to him, but he was reporting the Suns wanted out of Kevin Durant. They don't want to do business with Durant anymore. They were done with him. And then just hours before the curtain went up, did you see what happened? You did not? Well, the Phoenix owner, Matt Ishbia, clearly implying on X, the social media platform X, that Kevin Durant is not being traded. He said, quote, Phoenix loves Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant loves Phoenix. And we are competing for a championship this year because we have the team to do it. Gotta love draft night. Go Suns. Okay. So, did he see the team that was on the court last year? He thinks that team is going to win a championship this year? Okay, they better make a lot of changes. So, let us discuss the question. Get to the point, please. Can you explain why Kevin Durant's name was floated like a butterfly in trade rumors all day long? So much so that the owner of the Suns, who clearly was consuming the content, had to come out with a public statement to squash the chatter. So my observations on this, I have Trickeration, Sun Tzu, and Constable. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will bet our bottom dollar is what we're going to do. So number one. Yeah. Let's get right to it. This is an indictment of the product. We talked last hour about the quality control issues the NBA has with the draft and how bad it is. But this Kevin Durant story is a great example. You can only milk Bronny James and his less than 5 points per game so much. There was not a single player, not a single man, woman, or child related to the draft who moved the needle. Didn't happen. Humdrum. The draft was held in Brooklyn. It should have taken place in a little village called Dolesville. They had a TV show to do, and when you have a TV show to do, as a result, you have to get creative. And so the people that were broadcasting the dud of a draft turned to hyperbole, old-fashioned trickeration. It reminds me of the late T.J. Simers. I was at his funeral this past weekend. T.J. Told me a story years ago about his early days in being a newspaper man. And the newspapers before the internet had a daytime, they had a morning edition, and they had an evening edition. And sometimes times were slow. And so what you would do is you would start a rumor in the morning, and then somebody from the team would give you a statement denying it, and then you'd have your story for the evening edition. And that's the kind of trickeration that went on with this Kevin Durant story. You start the rumor in the early part of the day. You spend all day talking about it. You're feeding the content machine. And then, presto, the Suns owner comes out and denies the speculation. And boom, 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 boom. You get another story to feed the content plate. Engagement, clickety-click. This is literally and figuratively the job. I'm not besmirching the people who created the rumor. And I do believe that someone had an agenda. They were tossing it out. I don't think it was completely made up out of thin air, but there was clearly nothing of value to it in terms of it's not going to happen. At this point, you think it's going to? I don't think it's going to happen. Now, could we revisit this in a couple weeks? But at this point, no. Now, page 2, we go to Miami. One thing about doing a sports radio show, you're always concerned about other people's money. You are. For example, we learned that the Miami basketball team, the Heat is on. They plan to sign Bam Adebayo to a 3-year contract for 166 million shekels. That is the max contract extension that Bam Adebayo is eligible for right now. The reason this is interesting is because he could have gotten a lot more if he had waited. If he had bet on himself. So did Bam Adebayo make a mistake taking the Heat extension prematurely? So I'm going to go first on this, and I'm shaking my head no. Well, I understand the point. It's understandable that some were puzzled by this. I don't discount it is a drastic difference in money. Adebayo, if he had made the third-team All-NBA or any of those other All-NBA teams or been a Defensive Player of the Year, which he's in the running for pretty much every year, he woulda, coulda, shoulda been eligible for a 5-year, $346 million extension. So instead, he took the 3-year, $166 million extension. You can do the math on that. That is half of what he could have gotten, although average annual value, you could say, well, it's not that big a drop-off, but that extension would have been available starting in 2025. But instead, he'll somehow have to make ends meet with $166 million. Nevertheless, I follow the guidance of Sun Tzu on this one, the great quote, I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. And this is a sure thing. And with the economy the way it is and the U.S. government just printing up money, the value of the dollar is down. Down, and likely won't be going up in our lifetimes. So the value of the dollar has been diminished because the government keeps printing money. So therefore, if you get money today, it's worth more than it will be, a lot more than it will be 5 years from now. You see? All right. It's a sure deal. And if you have a little bit, just a little piece of sound financial planning, and you have a portfolio of Wall Street and real estate, you're fine. And your kids are fine. Your grandkids are fine. Their grandkids are fine. It's family wealth. All right, now, final point. To the boogity Bay Area we go, where Coach Steve Kerr, in a recent interview, admitted that the Warriors, he used the D word, desperately want Klay Thompson back in a Golden State uniform to continue the Splash Brothers. Here's the question. Do you believe Steve Kerr? We know he said the D word, that the Warriors desperately want Klay Thompson back, but do you believe it? So I am a jaded realist on this. Methinks that Steve Kerr is playing the role of the constable, if you will. He's being the good cop, and while the front office will play the bad cop, and then Steve Kerr has plausible deniability when Klay Thompson goes to play for the Lakers or the Orlando Magic or whoever, and then Steve Kerr can say, I desperately wanted him, but it just didn't work out. I really wanted this guy. If Golden State was hell-bent on getting a deal done and Klay Thompson wanted to stay, then there's no negotiation. It's going to happen. But they rightfully here's what I think is going on. They have skepticism. How could they not have skepticism if you're the front office of the Golden State Warriors? Klay Thompson is 34. In real life, that's not old. In the fun zone of sports, you're past your athletic prime. You're not going to get a return on investment. No matter what you say, that's the reality, unless you're on steroids. That's, in the history of sports, that's the way it has worked out. And it doesn't matter how much brawn you have or how many brain cells you have left. It doesn't matter. And Klay Thompson, at this age, has looked raggedy. He has looked like a falling star. Don't let a falling star fall on you. And it appears, watching him play, what do you go, 0 for 10 in that last playoff game for Golden State? He looks like he's been through 3 wars and some kind of goat roping that has taken place. That's what it looks like. Not exactly the Splash Brother gangster that he had been back in the day.